Welcome to the Complete Story series, where I take some of your favorite pop culture icons and I break them down, giving you a better explanation as to what's happening in the storyline or how it's related to the world of comic books. We've been recently covering more TV shows, more movies, and that also involves another one of my passions, video games. Now, recently we did the Call of Duty Zombies comic book, and a lot of you questioned, well, what's the actual plot to the in-game version of Call of Duty Zombies? So I thought it would be fun to tell you that history. So we've tried our best to put together the convoluted mess that is the Call of Duty Zombies plotline with Richtofen from the beginning to the end, since it's technically done as of right now. There's probably mistakes, and I apologize, but this is I think we did a pretty good job. I hope you enjoy.
Are you girls kidding me? I've been praying for this shit! Come on!
Back in my day, we only had to defend a few rooms from the shuffling hordes of the undead. Now you're jumping around the Titanic or a gladiatorial arena. Now some people, my brother, didn't even realize that there's actually a story behind all of those corpses. So for the few of you who might die too quickly to realize that zombie mode actually has a narrative, we're going to, as quickly as possible, lay it out for you. Now, I've played every zombie mode and really enjoyed the storyline, but when you actually sit there and look at this in chronological order, it's a little bonkers and convoluted. But who cares? Let's get into it. Also, keep in mind that we had to look up a few things to try and get the facts straight. So, like I said earlier, if we missed something, please forgive us. Everything starts at a place called Argatha. This is another dimension that houses the beings known as the Keepers. The Keepers created the Summoning Key, which was a device used to harness the raw energy of the Ether and alter reality. A group of Keepers, who also become known as the Apothicon, had discovered the Dark Ether. This dark energy corrupted all who used it, and the Apothicon went on to construct the Aether Pyramid, which allowed them to harness the Dark Aether. The construction of this device caused a civil war between the Keepers and the Apothicon. With defeat close at hand, the Apothicon hid the pyramid on the moon in a newly discovered dimension. With their defeat, the Apothicon were locked away in the Dark Aether. Seeing as it's called the Dark Aether and already corrupts people, it was not the best of plans on the Keepers' part. Over time, the Apothicon were mutated into strange, Cthulhu-ish tentacle monsters. Now you're evil, you're mutated, and you're trapped in a dark dimension. What do? That's right, you plan your escape. The Apothicon began to send meteors into other dimensions. The meteors contained some of the properties of the Dark Aether. The Apothicon hoped that the beings in these dimensions would use the elements of the Dark Aether and fight a war amongst themselves, that it would cause rips in the fabric of space and allow their escape, and it worked. The Apothicon would escape, invading Earth probably around the year of 1292. I don't know why this number, it just seems important. They were beaten though by four knights called Primus. It's weird that it's always four, almost like it's a four-player co-op game. Using elemental staves, they were aided by the Keepers, and with their defeat once again, the Apothicon are once more locked in the Dark Aether. Well, that's it, story's over. That wasn't as bad as I thought. Oh wait, no, I got like 60 more pages. Sorry. We need to continue on. In 1939, Dr. Ludwig Maxis was the head of the international research team known as Group 935. No word on what happened to the other 934 groups before them, though. Using the mysterious new material found on the strange meteors dubbed Element 115, Group 935 developed a new technology designed to improve humanity. And it was around this time that Dr. Richtofen was brought on board. This being Germany in 1939, Group 935 was quickly folded into the Nazi Wunderwaffe program, which is translated to be Miracle Weapon, where they used Element 115 to build and power weapons to help the Nazis win the war. Among their experiments, Group 935 began to use Element 115 to test teleportation devices known as Matter Transference Devices, or MTD. After several months of failed tests, Dr. Richtofen successfully teleported himself. Instead of arriving at their other test facility, however, Richtofen found himself on the moon, where he encountered the pyramid that the Apothicon had hidden there eons ago. After coming into contact with the pyramid, Richtofen heard strange voices in his head, which is why you don't touch strange pyramids, people. Richtofen was then teleported away again, arriving in an ancient shrine in the Himalayas. From the shrine, Richtofen learned of the Vril, which by all accounts are the Keepers, I think. Eventually, Richtofen would return to Group 935, where he planned to eventually kill off Dr. Maxis and use the pyramid to enter the Aether. While they would continue to develop the weapons for the Nazis, Group 935 also built a research base on the moon and would also continue experimenting with the MTD, hoping to give the Nazis the capability of rapidly deploying against their enemies. Those experiments had the side effect of creating the first zombies. When the test subjects were exposed to element 115, they became reanimated dead. Not unsurprisingly, the Nazis thought this was great, and Maxis began developing a way to control them, thus weaponizing them, because that could never end badly. While this was being developed, Richtofen began testing 115 on living test subjects in the hopes of creating a soldier that could respond to mental commands. His test subjects included POWs, Nikolai, Takio, Pablo, and eventually a Marine Corporal, Tank Dempsey. Dempsey was the only surviving member of the four-man team that fought off the army of the undead when their airplane crashed during a rescue mission of OSS operative Peter McCain. Peter had already escaped and died before they arrived, so that sucks. Well, as we all know, the war ended and the Nazis lost, so Group 935 lost all of its funding. Combine this with the fact that the zombies have a tendency to break free and kill everything on a regular basis, it's not a great time for Group 935. Deciding to continue their work, Maxis uses his daughter Samantha's German Shepherd, lovingly named Fluffy, to test the MTD on living tissue. When the dog reappears in an orb of lightning, it becomes zombified and it is now the first Hellhound. Shockingly, Samantha's not happy about this. I mean, I would want a Hellhound, but I guess she doesn't. Seeing this chance, Richtofen activated the MTD with Maxis, Samantha, and Fluffy inside, hoping it would kill them. Instead, Samantha is teleported to the moon base, named Griffin Station, where she discovered the pyramid. Unlike Richtofen, the pyramid was open, waiting for Samantha. Stepping inside, she merged with the Aether and gained control of the energy within. When Richtofen discovered that Maxis was also alive, he brought him to the moon. But before he could be killed, he asked Samantha to use her new power to destroy Group 935 and kill everyone. He killed himself, and his soul joined with the computer systems. What? Why? How? It doesn't matter. Let's move on. His soul is in the computer. After this, Samantha commanded all of the zombies created by Group 935 to rise up and kill everyone. See, that I can understand. Now surrounded by the undead, Richtofen enlists the aid of his test subjects from earlier, Nikolai, Takio, and Tank Dempsey. One of the side effects of Richtofen's experiments was memory loss, so the three of them have no issues working with him. The team becomes known as the Ultimates, because when you're facing down a zombie apocalypse, you definitely need a team name. They probably have jerseys on backorder as well. Instead of stopping the horde, Richtofen comes up with a brilliant and not at all convoluted plan to use element 115 to bend life and switch souls with Samantha, thus becoming an all-powerful being, which seems simple enough. Also, Richtofen wrote down everything in his diary. That is important because it's really the only way that anyone learns about any of this. So Richtofen hoped to use the MTD to get to the moon, but was shot by the Wunderwaffe miracle weapon, and instead he timed jumped the entire team to the old German theater. Richtofen dropped his diary, see, I told you the diary was important, in the past. After the American and Russian forces wiped out the zombie hordes, Russian forces found the diary while trying to gain Group 935's technology for themselves. Jump ahead, and a Russian scientist named Yuri, with a last name that I can't pronounce, is developing weapons at the Soviet Cosmodrome. Samantha, with her new godlike abilities, begins to drive the man insane. Yuri finishes work on the Gersh device, which is essentially a black hole grenade, and convinces his boss, Gersh, who may or may not have been a jerk, to activate it. Once activated, it allows Samantha and a horde of undead to access the Cosmodrome, and Gersh to be locked in some form of spirit form, for this is important for reasons later. Also, there's a zombie outbreak at the Pentagon while JFK, Richard Nixon, Fidel Castro, and Robert McNamara are engaged in peace talks. Why? Because it looked cool in the trailer, that's why. Richtofen and the other survivors have somehow reached the Cosmodrome and they're fighting the zombie horde. They're then contacted by Spirit Gersh, reasons, and are told that they need to fix some science doodad, known as the Casimir mechanism, in order to free him. While fighting, some of the survivors begin to regain their memories from before Richtofen experimented on them. This does not bode well for Richtofen's future. After completing the science doodad, Gersh is free and he teleports the survivors to the future. Alright, everything's good, right? Wrong. In 2011, George A. Romero of Dawn of the Dead fame has discovered Group 935's research while making a zombie film. They are then turned into zombies, and the only survivors are the celebrities Michael Rooker, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Robert Englund, and Danny Trejo. Why? Because it looked cool in a trailer, that's why. The celebrities meet the survivors that have come from the past and who ask them to retrieve a mystical science doodad known as the Golden Rod. Once they do, Richtofen gives them some cool weapons and then teleports them away. Do they survive? Who cares? The survivors are teleported to Shangri-La. This is an old temple used to mine element 115. Shockingly, it too is overrun by the zombies. The temple also has the ability to time travel, and the survivors use this to go back in time to help two explorers who are researching the Aether. With these explorers' help, the survivors create a new mystical science doodad called the Focusing Stone. Now, Richtofen has everything that he needs to become all-powerful, and the group teleports to the moon. Also, the two explorers get caught in a time loop. Sucks for them. Okay, at this time the survivors don't go straight to the moon, and they instead jump to different locations because things don't go as planned, and the developers more than likely just wanted to add more maps. So, it goes Temple, Pentagon, Area 51, and Nuketown with CDC agents, I believe. And finally the moon. Okay, so Richtofen opens up the pyramid and boom, Samantha's there. He activates the two mystical science doodads and is almost stopped by the soul of Dr. Maxis, who you'll remember has had his soul fused with the computers of the Griffin Station. Remember? Yeah, I know, it's weird. He then switches souls with Samantha so that he now has ultimate power. The survivors, under the direction of Dr. Maxis, the computer, attempt to stop Richtofen and launch a missile from the moon in an attempt to destroy the Earth's ozone layer to sever the link between Earth and the Aether. Okay, I'm gonna need to see the science to back this one up. It goes wrong and the Earth is sent into the apocalypse. Only about 137 more pages to go, guys. Stay with me. The Earth is now a wasteland. Hordes of the undead wander around craving the flesh of the living. Cats and dogs live together. It's mass hysteria. So now Maxis has begun to reach out to the survivors on Earth and have them activate polarization devices that will open up a path to the Aether and allow him to take control of Richtofen, but he's really just going to reunite with Samantha and open up the portal so that he can destroy Earth. Richtofen has the same plan, but apparently the devices will also give him more power within the pyramid to control the energy of the Aether. 4 new survivors, Marlton, Abigail, Russman, and Samuel Stuhlinger, the guys from the comic book, see, it all does link together, find a robotic bus. Wait, there's a robotic bus now? When did that happen? Anyway, take on the team named Victus and they begin to activate the devices for Maxis. But Samuel, who has eaten human flesh, heard the voice of Richtofen and secretly begins to work against the team Victus. The group struggles against both evil scientists who are trying to survive the undead, and they travel across the world, eventually ending up in a place called the Rift, which is a buried old west town for reasons. Okay, now according to the canon ending, the players can activate the last device for Maxis. He, being just as much of a jerk as Richtofen, reveals that he will open up the portal to the Aether, reuniting himself with his daughter, but destroying the Earth. Maxis, using his new powers to return Samantha's soul to her body in the Aether, also returning Richtofen's soul to his body, reanimating him as a blue-eyed zombie. Samantha, realizing that her father is now evil, does the only thing that makes sense. She opens up a temporal rift to 1918, contacting Dr. Maxis, who works for Group 935, who develops weapons for the German army during World War I. That's right, people, we are going into alternate realities and a Call of Duty multiverse. We've only got 852 pages left. Okay, let's call the new reality Dimension 63, and we'll call it that because that is the name the developers gave it. In 1917, Dr. Maxis and Dr. Richtofen discovered a new element which they refer to as Element 115. After the experiment on 115, they open up tears in space and time to materialize strange machinery, including the mystery box and the weapons from the future. Using 115, Maxis and Richtofen create super weapons for the German army, such as big robots. If given the chance, you always make big robots. Around this time, Maxis begins to hear the voice of his daughter from another reality, who is also trapped in the Aether. Richtofen fears that his friend is going crazy, which I guess is a fair guess, you're hearing voices. Group 935 discovers an ancient chamber among some ruins in a war-torn France, which, when exposed to music from a gramophone, which happened by accident, of course, opens to reveal writings about an ancient race, I'm thinking the Keepers of the Apothicons, who can create powerful weapons. Richtofen creates replicas of these called elemental staffs. Around this time, Max has now become more and more crazy. Also, zombies, animated by Element 115, have now risen and have killed everyone at the site. Hearing reports of the undead and Group 935's work, the United States sends in Tank Dempsey to investigate and capture Richtofen. Russia sends in Nikolai, and Japan sends in Takeo. The group is reunited and they adopt the new band name of Primus. The 4 survivors come together, fighting zombies and giant robots while hearing the voice of Samantha asking to free her from the Aether. They do so by opening up a portal to Argatha, they free Samantha, and they contain the outbreak. We then get to view another alternate reality. A young Samantha and a boy named Eddie are playing a game of zombies. Samantha is narrating as if they just played out the storylines from the past games, making it seem like all of this was made up by children. As they go to sleep, air raid sirens can be heard in the background. Very ominous.
My name is Samantha. I'm going to tell you how all this really began.
As the gates to Agartha opened, the 4 heroes were rewarded with riches beyond imagination. From that day forward, they knew that Samantha would keep them safe. Forever.
After Primus stopped the outbreak, Richtofen begins to study the alternate realities, and through this he learns of Argatha, the Keepers, and the Apothecons. He learns about the meteors and the origins of Element 115 and how it all links all of the realities. He also learns about the children playing the game of zombies and wants to protect them. Personally, I don't care about children in other realities, but that's just me. He learns about the summoning key and its location. The summoning key was in another timeline in Morgue City in an alternate 1940s where Nero Blackstone, Jessica Rose, Jack Vincent, and Floyd Campbell are defending the key while working for the Shadow Man, who is in reality a Apothecon. Richtofen arrives, steals the summoning key, and then leaves. Now that Richtofen has the key, he travels back to the alternate timeline and attempts to kill the original evil Richtofen. He arrives just after the evil Richtofen has locked Maxis and Samantha with Fluffy inside of the MTD. Are you still with me? Because oh my god, when evil Richtofen turns on the machine, he discovers a good Richtofen and he shoots him in the head. Damn it, another altered timeline. At this time, for reasons, all of the original timeline characters mix with their alternate timeline characters, except for Dempsey. Apparently, original Dempsey is in stasis and the survivors must follow after him. They then end up at Eagle's Nest, real Hitler's Nazi town, where they use rockets to blow up the moon and trap original Dempsey's soul in the summoning key. After this, the 4 survivors are then teleported to another alternate timeline. Does anyone else's head hurt now? Where they arrive on a Japanese ship in the Pacific Ocean. They are then captured, tortured, and interrogated. Eventually, they escape with the summoning key and they swim to a nearby island that just happens to be a research town, convenient, for Division 9. The Japanese version of Group 935. Shockingly, this island is also overrun by the zombies, and mutants have been affected by Element 115. After the original, yet alternate, Takeo discovers that he was sent to be experimented on by the Emperor of Japan. He commits seppuku with the alternate Takeo, acting as his second. His soul is then absorbed into the summoning key, and everyone teleports to Alcatraz prison, where apparently the Team Victus has arrived with a copy of the Chrono Rum, a book that holds all the secrets of the multiverse essentially. They found a dead Earth in another reality. Victus is placed into stasis for reasons. You know what? We're going to speed this up a bit. Okay, the characters then travel to Stalingrad, where the Russian army has giant robots, and the Group 935 Germans have dragons. While there, they manage to find the original timeline Nikolai, or the Ultimus timeline, depending on how much more attention you've been paying than me. Eventually, they find Sophia, who was the assistant that was mentioned in a radio message way back at the first game, and for some reason is now a supercomputer AI. That really isn't even the weirdest thing I've had to say in this video. They do the standard list that is given to them by Sophia, and eventually meet with Gersh again, who realizes that they are not the people that he actually knows, but alternate reality versions. Around this time, the characters begin to hear a voice that orders them to fix the universe since they keep messing it up with all these fractured timelines. The characters find the original Nikolai again, help him defeat a dragon, and then they kill him, absorbing his soul into the summoning key. Now the characters, minus Richtofen, because who can trust that guy, are contacted by the strange voice again.
This is it. The ether. The infinite. The reality beyond. Beyond the world you know. Beyond your perception. Things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. You changed the rules. There are certain things that you can't ever change. All I ask is that you do the right thing. The right thing for everyone.
The voice is revealed to be named Dr. Monty, and he needs them to help him close off the dimensions when they arrive at the house. Cryptic enough for you? The characters end up at the house, which is a perfect version of the world. There are also children version of the people who are absorbed by the summoning key. Creepy! Upon their arrival, they are meted by Maxis, who gets the summoning key and releases the Shadow Man, Apothicon, into the dimension. The Shadow Man releases another Apothicon into the dimension in an effort to destroy it. The characters manage to defeat the Shadow Man and are sent back to 1292. 1292 is when the war with the Apothicon and humanity started, and thus it creates a big old time loop. That's it. I need a glass of water and a nap. Talk amongst yourselves.
All right, there you have it. We have now covered to the best of our ability the Call of Duty Zombies plot line. Coming up soon in our video game coverage, we're going to be telling you the God of War comic book. We're going to be telling you the Life is Strange comic book. We're going to be covering the Path of Exile comic book. And we're going to be covering the Witcher books, along with telling you the actual lore to video games like Warframe and Destiny and Final Fantasy, that's Warframe, Final Fantasy 14, the in-game plots. We're gonna be telling you all those. Why? Because Benny has a passion for video games, people, and you can find him over on, I'm speaking in third person. If you smell what the Benny is cooking, you can find me over at twitch.tv/EligibleMonster, where I stream things like Final Fantasy 14, Warframe, not Call of Duty. Now, some of you may be wondering, Benny, is that a mystery chest? And the answer is yes. And the next question you probably have is, Benny, what is in the mystery chest? I got no goddamn idea, so let's look. There's a steelbook case. This is turned into an unboxing. There is what appears to be patches. Where did we even get this? I don't even know. Did it come with a collector's edition? People send us stuff at this point, and I don't even know where. It's a Pop-It. Does anyone use these? Dan claims to know the guy that invented them. I don't believe him. I think it's a bullshit story that he tells at the bar. But hey, whatever. I don't like these. I don't like these collectibles, the fake pick-me things. Here's terms of service. Hey, look, it's the Call of Duty Zombies comic. If anybody was like, Benny, that's not a comic book. Ha! Screw you! And one of those gelatin packs. Now, we're gonna go now. I'm gonna eat this because that's not intelligent and don't actually do that. I'm trying to start, the Tide Pod Challenge was a bad idea. I'm making a far worse idea. It's called the Do Not Eat Challenge. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below. I named off a bunch of video games. What do you guys want me to cover first? Seriously, what game plots, what game related comic books? Just let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. This video is super long, which is why I felt free to kind of be a little bit more me at the end of this, because the script is 8 pages. Anyway, thank you guys. I'll see you next time right here at the Comicstorian channel with all your favorite pop culture news.